The road to the market in the village of Umunne was not a place for the weak. It was a place of dust, of scorching sun, and of hard stones that cut the feet of those who walked without sandals. Hundreds of people walked this path every day. Traders with baskets of yam on their heads, warriors with polished spears, and young maidens with beads around their waists, singing songs of love and future marriages. But on this particular day sat a figure that everyone ignored. A man, or at least what looked like the shadow of a man. He was covered in rags that were the color of the earth itself, brown, stained, and smelling of old rain and decay. His eyes were milky white, staring into a nothingness that only he could see. He held out a calabash that was cracked at the rim, his hand trembling like a leaf in a harmattan storm. "Water! Please, just a drop of water." A group of wealthy merchants walked past. They kicked dust into his face. "Get out of the road, you filth!" one shouted. "Why doesn't he just die and save the village the air he breathes?" Another laughed. The beggar said nothing. He simply lowered his head as the dust settled on his gray hair. He was invisible. He was nothing. Or so they thought. Little did they know, the hand that trembled held the power to cut off their heads. Little did they know, the eyes that saw nothing had seen more of the world than all of them combined. And little did they know that this filthy, broken thing on the side of the road was the ruler of the golden city of Zama, the most powerful hidden empire in the creation. And he was looking for only one thing: a single heart of gold in a land of stone. If you enjoy stories of destiny, karma, and the mysteries of the hidden world, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell, for we tell the tales that the moonlight whispers to the earth. Join our community and let us journey together. Now, let us open the pages of time. In the village of Umunne, there lived a maiden named Amara. Amara was not the most beautiful girl in the village, if you ask the men who judge beauty by the largeness of hips or the loudness of laughter. Amara was quiet. She was like the evening breeze, cool, gentle, and often unnoticed until she was gone. She was an orphan. Her father, Mazieze, had been a brave hunter who died wrestling a leopard to save the village children. Her mother had died of a broken heart shortly after. Amara was left in the care of her father's sister, a woman named Uloaku. Uloaku, the name meant house of wealth, but her heart was a house of bitterness. Uloaku had two daughters, Ogechi and Nkiru. If Uloaku was the thunder, her daughters were the lightning strikes, flashy, dangerous, and destructive. They were beautiful on the outside, with skin rubbed with expensive palm wood and hair braided in the latest styles from the city. But inside, they were rotting fruit. On this scorching afternoon, Amara was walking behind them. "Walk faster, you tortoise," Ogechi snapped, turning around to glare at Amara. Amara was carrying a basket that was twice the size of her cousin's. It was filled with heavy tubers of yam, sacks of pepper, and a large clay pot of palm oil. Her neck strained under the weight. Sweat poured down her face, stinging her eyes.
"I am coming, Sister Ogechi," Amara whispered, her voice parched. "Don't call me sister. You are not our blood. You are a burden our mother was too kind to throw away." Nkiru laughed, a high, cruel sound. "Look at her rags, Ogechi. She looks like a scarecrow. No wonder no man looks at her. Even the flies avoid her." Amara said nothing. She had learned long ago that words were like fuel to a fire when it came to her cousins. Silence was her only shield. She adjusted the heavy cloth on her head and kept walking, her bare feet burning on the hot sand. They were approaching the bend in the road where the forest thickened, casting long, dark shadows. This was where the beggar sat. As they drew closer, the smell hit them first. It was the smell of unwashed skin and sickness. Ogechi covered her nose with a silk handkerchief. "Chey, what is that smell?" Nkiru cried out. "It smells like a dead goat." They saw him then, the blind beggar. He was coughing, a dry, hacking sound that shook his frail frame. He held out his cracked calabash. "Please," the beggar rasped. "Hunger, thirst." Ogechi stopped. She looked at the beggar, then she looked at the half-eaten stick of roasted plantain in her hand. She smiled, a wicked glint in her eyes. "You are hungry, old man?" Ogechi asked sweetly. "Yes, daughter, yes." Ogechi stepped forward. She held out the plantain. As the beggar reached for it, his blind hands groping the air, she dropped it into the dirt and crushed it with her foot. "Oops," Ogechi laughed. "Clumsy me. Well, you look like you enjoy eating dirt anyway. Eat it from the ground, dog." Nkiru cackled, kicking the beggar's calabash so it spun away from him. "Move out of the way, filth. You are ruining the view." The beggar recoiled, pulling his rags tighter around him. He did not curse them. He did not shout. He simply let out a low, painful sigh. The two sisters sashayed away, laughing at their own cruelty. "Come on, slave," Ogechi shouted back to Amara. "Leave the trash with the trash." Amara stood frozen. Her heart hammered in her chest. She looked at her cousins disappearing down the road, and then she looked at the man. The weight of the basket on her head was heavy, but the weight in her chest was heavier. She remembered her father's voice, a memory from when she was very small. "Amara, true strength is not in the spear you hold, but in the hand you extend to the fallen." She looked around. No one was watching. Slowly, painfully, Amara lowered the heavy basket from her head. She set it down in the dust. She reached into the folds of her wrapper and pulled out a small bundle. It was her lunch, 2 small balls of Akara, bean cake, that she had saved for herself. She hadn't eaten since morning. Her stomach rumbled in protest. But she stepped forward. "Papa," she said softly. The beggar flinched, expecting another kick. "I am not going to hurt you," Amara said, her voice shaking slightly. She picked up his calabash from where Nkiru had kicked it, dusted it off, and reached for the small water gourd hanging at her waist. It was her only water for the journey home. She poured the water into the calabash. "Here, drink." The beggar hesitated. Then, with desperate hands, he grabbed the calabash and drank greedily. Water spilled down his matted beard, washing away streaks of dirt. When he finished, he lowered the bowl. He turned his face towards her voice. His milky eyes seemed to pierce right through her. "You are not like the others," he said. His voice was different now, less raspy, stronger. "Why do you help a piece of trash like me?" "You are not trash," Amara said firmly. "You are a human being, someone's father, someone's son. The world has been cruel to you, but that does not mean you deserve cruelty." The beggar held the akara, but he did not eat it yet. He tilted his head. "What is your name, child?" "Amara." "Amara," he repeated, tasting the name. "Grace, a fitting name. Tell me, Amara, are you happy?" Amara paused. She looked at her rough hands, at the dusty road, at the disappearing figures of her tormentors. "Happiness is a luxury I cannot afford, Papa. I simply survive. But today I am alive, and that is enough." The beggar smiled. It was a small, sad smile. Survival is a noble battle. Go now, child. Your demons are waiting for you down the road. Amara quickly gathered her things. She knew if she was late, Uloaku would beat her. She lifted the heavy basket back onto her head. I will look for you tomorrow, she whispered. I will bring more food if I can. She ran to catch up with her cousins. The beggar sat in silence for a long time. Then he reached into his rags and pulled out a small whistle made of pure and gleaming gold. He blew into it, a sound so high-pitched that human ears could not hear it. From the shadows of the forest, two men emerged. They were huge, dressed in camouflage, moving with the silence of leopards. They knelt in the dust before the beggar. My king, one whispered, do we kill the girls who insulted you? The beggar, King Kailo, shook his head slowly. No, he said, his voice commanding and deep, shedding the persona of the weak old man. No, not yet. Violence is the weapon of the weak. I want to see how far the rot goes in this village, and I want to see if the flower that blooms in the dust can survive the storm. He took a bite of the Akara. Follow the girl named Amara. Protect her from the shadows, but do not intervene unless her life is in danger. I must know if her heart is truly pure or if she simply seeks favor from the gods. As you command, Your Majesty. The guards vanished back into the trees. King Kailo sat back in the dust, assumed his trembling posture, and waited.
Life in Uloaku's compound was a living hell. When Amara arrived home that evening, Uloaku was waiting by the cooking fire, her hands on her hips, her face twisted in a scowl. Uloaku was a large woman who wore expensive lace, but her eyes were small and beady like a rodent's. You are late, Uloaku spat. The load was heavy, Auntie, Amara said, lowering the basket. Excuses! Uloaku walked over and slapped Amara across the face. The sound echoed in the compound. My daughters have been home for an hour. They are resting. You kept me waiting for the palm oil. How will I cook the soup? Amara held her stinging cheek, but did not cry. Crying only made Uloaku angrier. I am sorry, Auntie. Sorry does not fill the stomach. Sorry does not fill the pottage, Uloaku hissed. For your laziness, you will fetch water from the stream, 6 trips, and you will not eat tonight. But Auntie, Amara whispered, it is almost dark. The stream is dangerous at night. Then let the spirits take you, Uloaku shouted. Maybe then I will have peace. Go! Amara turned and grabbed the water pot. Her stomach cramped with hunger, reminding her that she had given her only food to the beggar. But strangely, she did not regret it. As she walked to the stream in the gathering twilight, she thought of the beggar's voice. You are not like the others. For the next 2 weeks, a pattern emerged. Every morning, Amara would steal a small portion of food, a piece of yam, a scoop of rice, or even just a handful of ground nuts, and hide it in her wrapper. On her way to the market or the farm, she would stop by the beggar. They became friends, this strange pair. The beggar, whom she simply called Papa, told her stories, but they were not ordinary stories. He spoke of lands where the rivers flowed with milk, of mountains that touched the sky, and of a hidden empire called Zama, where justice ruled, and gold was used to pave the streets. Do you think such a place exists? Amara asked one day, sitting in the dust beside him as he ate the roasted yam she had brought. I know it exists, the beggar said,
But the gates of Zama are not open to everyone. Only those who can see without eyes may enter." "See without eyes?" Amara laughed softly. "You speak in riddles, Papa." "The eyes see only the skin, Amara," he replied seriously. "The heart sees the spirit. Most people in your village are blind. They have eyes, but they see nothing. You, Amara, you see." One day the beggar asked her a question. "Amara, if you were a queen, what would you do with your power? Would you punish your aunt? Would you crush your cousins?" Amara thought for a long time. She thought of the bruises on her back. She thought of the nights she cried herself to sleep. "I would want to," she admitted honestly. "I am angry, Papa. Sometimes I hate them." "That is natural," he said. "But," Amara continued, looking up at the sky, "if I were queen, if I used my power to hurt them, I would become them. Uloaku is cruel because she is unhappy. She is afraid. If I were queen, I would ensure that no child ever feels the way I feel. I would build a house for orphans. I would make laws that protect the weak. Punishing my aunt would not heal my scars. Only creating a better world would do that." The beggar lowered his head. A tear leaked from his milky eye. "You possess a wisdom that exceeds your age, child. Remember that answer." Unbeknownst to Amara, hidden in the bushes, the royal scribe of Zama was writing down every word she said on a scroll of parchment.
The secret could not last forever. One afternoon, Ogechi followed Amara. She had noticed that Amara's food portions were missing, and she suspected Amara was eating them in secret. Ogechi wanted to catch her in the act so she could have her beaten. Ogechi hid behind a baobab tree and watched as Amara knelt before the filthy beggar, laughing and sharing a piece of meat Uloaku had meant for the soup. Ogechi's eyes widened. "So," she whispered, "she is feeding a stray dog with our food." Ogechi ran home, her heart pounding with malicious glee. When Amara returned that evening, the compound was silent, too silent. Uloaku was sitting on a stool in the center of the yard. Ogechi and Nkiru stood behind her, smacking. Beside Uloaku lay a bundle of cane switches. "Welcome the philanthropist of Umunne," Uloaku said, her voice dripping with venom. Amara's blood ran cold. "Auntie, Ogechi tells me you have become a rich woman." Uloaku stood up, her large frame casting a terrifying shadow. "You have so much food that you are feeding beggars on the road. Is that true?" Amara trembled. He was starving, Auntie. It was only a small piece." "A small piece?" Uloaku roared. "I work my hands to the bone to feed this house, and you steal from me to feed a useless, good-for-nothing parasite?" "He is a human being," Amara cried out, finding a sudden surge of courage. "Silence!" Uloaku grabbed the cane. The beating was severe. Uloaku struck Amara until the cane broke. She struck her until her back was striped with welts. Ogechi and Nkiru laughed and cheered their mother on. "That will teach you," Ogechi shouted.
When Uloaku was finally tired, she threw the broken cane down. Get into the goat shed. You will sleep there tonight. No food for 2 days. If I catch you near that beggar again, I will cut off your feet. Amara dragged herself to the shed. She curled up among the goats, the smell of manure filling her nose. Her body was on fire with pain. She wept until she had no tears left. But even in her pain, her thought was not for herself. It was for the beggar. Who will bring him water tomorrow? She worried.
3 days later, the sound of trumpets shook the village of Umunne. It was a sound like thunder, deep and resonant. Villagers ran out of their huts looking towards the market square. A procession had arrived, but this was no ordinary procession. There were horses white as milk. There were warriors clad in armor made of gold and leather. There were drummers beating rhythms that spoke of ancient power. And in the front, a town crier dressed in purple velvet, a color that cost more than the entire village, unrolled a scroll. "People of Umunne," the crier bellowed, "listen to the word of the great King Kaelo, lion of the Zama Empire, ruler of the hidden lands." The villagers gasped. Zama? Everyone thought Zama was a myth, a bedtime story. "The king," the crier continued, "is looking for a wife. He seeks a queen to sit beside him on the emerald throne. He has traveled the lands in disguise, testing the hearts of the people. Now he summons all maidens of marriageable age to the great gathering at the Valley of Mist in 2 days' time. There he will choose his bride. However," the crier raised a finger, "the test is not of beauty, but of something else. Bring your finest attire or bring your rags. The king sees all." Pandemonium erupted. Every mother grabbed her daughter. Every father calculated the dowry. In Uloaku's house, the excitement was feverish. "My daughters will be queens!" Uloaku screamed, dancing around the compound. "Ogechi, Nkiru, bring out your best laces. We must go to the market. We need gold jewelry. We need perfumes from Arabia." "I will be the queen," Ogechi shouted. "I am the prettiest." "No, I am," Nkiru argued. Uloaku slapped them both playfully. "Stop fighting. One of you will be queen, the other will be a princess. We will be rich. We will leave this dusty village and live in a palace." Amara watched from the doorway of the kitchen, wincing as she moved her bruised body. She dared not speak. But Uloaku turned to Amara, her eyes narrowing. "And you," Uloaku pointed a fat finger at Amara, "do not even think about it. You are a curse. If you go there with your bad luck, you will ruin your cousin's chances." I have no clothes to wear, Auntie," Amara said softly. "Good. You will stay here. You will scrub the floors, weed the farm, and fix the roof while we are gone. If I find that you have left this compound, I will kill you myself." That evening, Amara slipped out while the family was busy trying on clothes. She had to see the beggar one last time. She had to warn him that the crowds coming for the king might trample him. She ran to the spot on the road. He was there, sitting upright. He looked different today. The air around him felt charged, electric. "Papa," Amara whispered. "Amara," he smiled. He did not turn his head, but he reached out and took her hand. His skin was warm. "I heard what happened. Your aunt, she hurt you because of me." "It does not matter," Amara said. "I am fine. But Papa, you must move. The king of Zama is coming. Thousands of people will be on this road. It is not safe." The beggar chuckled, a deep, rich sound. The king of Zama, eh? Sounds like a pompous man. Do not say that. Amara looked around fearfully. They say he is powerful. Listen, Papa, I cannot come back for a while. My aunt has forbidden me. She is taking my cousins to the great gathering. And you, will you not go? Amara looked at her torn dress. Look at me, Papa. I am a slave girl. Kings do not marry slaves. And besides, I have no way to get there. The beggar reached into his pocket. He pulled out a stone. It was not a gemstone. It was just a smooth grey river stone, ordinary in every way. Take this, he said. A stone? If you ever find yourself in need, the beggar intensely said, if you ever stand before a gate that will not open, show them this stone. Tell them the river remembers its source. Amara took the stone, confused. Thank you, Papa, but I will just stay here. Destiny, the beggar whispered, is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. Goodbye, Amara. We will meet again. Before she could ask what he meant, he stood up, fully upright, no longer hunched, and walked into the dense forest with a stride strong and confident. Amara watched him go, puzzled.
The morning of the great gathering arrived. Uloaku, Ogechi, and Nkiru looked magnificent. They wore layers of coral beads, towering head wraps, gele, and fabrics that shimmered in the sun. "Lock the gate behind us!" Uloaku shouted at Amara. "Remember, if I see one weed on the farm when I return, you are dead." They left in a hired ox cart, heading toward the Valley of Mist. Amara was alone. She sat on the steps of the hut and wept. It wasn't that she wanted to marry a king. She just wanted to see the world. She wanted to see the hidden empire. She wanted to feel, just for a moment, that she was part of something bigger than her aunt's cruelty. She looked at the grey stone in her hand. The river remembers its source. Suddenly, a bird landed next to her. It was a grey parrot. It tilted its head and squawked, "Go, go, go!" Amara jumped. It was just a bird mimicking humans, surely. But then she felt a wind, a strange wind that smelled of rain and jasmine. It blew open the gate that Uloaku had ordered her to lock. Amara stood up, her heart pounded. "Why should I stay?" she thought. "If I stay, I die a slave. If I go, Uloaku might kill me, but at least I will have seen the king." She washed her face. She had no fine clothes. She wore her cleanest wrapper, which was faded and patched, and a simple blouse. She tied her hair back. She clutched the stone. And she ran. She did not take the main road. She took the hunter's path through the forest, a path her father had shown her once. It was dangerous, full of thorns and snakes, but it was faster. She ran until her lungs burned. She ran until the sun began to dip. Finally, she broke through the trees and saw it. The Valley of Mist. And in the center, appearing out of the mist like a dream, was the golden city of Zama. It was not a myth. High walls made of polished ivory, towers topped with gold, waterfalls that cascaded down the sides of the architecture, and thousands of people gathered in the vast plain before the gates. Amara's breath was taken away.
She merged into the back of the crowd, trying to make herself small. She saw women dressed in silks and satins, smelling of rose water. She felt incredibly small and dirty. She saw Uloaku and her cousins near the front, pushing people out of the way to get a better view.
A great gong sounded. Gong! The massive ivory gates groaned open. Out marched a legion of warriors, their spears rhythmic against their shields. Thud, thud, thud. Then a hush fell over the crowd. A platform was raised. On a throne carved from a single piece of ebony and inlaid with diamonds sat the king. He wore a mask, a golden mask that covered his entire face. Beside him stood the town crier. "The king greets you," the crier shouted. "The king seeks a heart of truth. Let the test begin." The crowd murmured, "What test?" The crier continued. "Many of you traveled the road from Umunne and the surrounding villages. On that road for the past month sat an old blind beggar. He asked for water. He asked for food." The crowd went silent. Many people shifted uncomfortably. "The king asks," the crier shouted, "who among you helped this beggar? Step forward and claim your reward." Uloaku's eyes lit up. She elbowed Ogechi. "Go, go." "But Mama," Ogechi whispered, "I kicked him." "Shut up," Uloaku hissed. "The king doesn't know that. He wasn't there. Go and lie. Tell him you fed him a banquet." Ogechi and Nkiru rushed forward, along with hundreds of other women. "I helped him," Ogechi screamed, falling to her knees before the platform. "Oh, great king! I gave him roasted yams and fish. I washed his feet." "Liar!" Nkiru shouted, kneeling beside her. "I was the one. I gave him my own water. I gave him money." Others joined in. "I gave him clothes. I built him a shelter. I prayed for him." The noise of lies rose to the heavens. The king on the throne sat motionless behind his golden mask. Finally, he raised a hand. Silence fell instantly. The king stood up. He was tall, broad-shouldered, radiating power. He slowly reached up and unclasped the golden mask. The mask fell away. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave. It was him. The face was clean-shaven now. The eyes were clear and sharp, no longer milky. It had been a disguise of herbs. The skin was glowing, but the features were unmistakable. It was the beggar. Uloaku's face turned the color of ash. Nkiru began to tremble so violently her beads rattled. Uloaku looked as if she had swallowed a stone. "You gave me roasted yams?" King Kawelo asked, looking directly at Ogechi. His voice was the thunder itself. I, Ogechi stammered. "You crushed a plantain in the dirt and told me to eat like a dog." He turned to Nkiru. "And you gave me water?" "No, you kicked my calabash and called me filth." He looked at the hundreds others kneeling. "And all of you, I saw you, I heard you, you spat on me, you ignored me. And now you come to my home seeking my gold when you would not even give me a drop of water?" "Guards!" The warrior stepped forward, spears leveled. The liar screamed and scrambled back, terrified. "Take them out of my sight," King Kawelo commanded. "Do not harm them, but banish them from the valley. They are not welcome in Zama." As the wailing women were headed away, the king looked out over the remaining crowd. His eyes scanned the sea of faces until they stopped at the very back. He saw a small figure trying to hide behind a tall warrior. "You," the king said softly, but his voice carried across the silent plain. "The one in the faded wrapper, come forward." The crowd parted. Amara stood there, freezing. "Me?" she mouthed. "Come," the king beckoned. Amara walked forward. Her legs felt like jelly. She clutched the grey stone tightly. As she passed Uloaku, the older woman stared in shock. Amara reached the platform and knelt, bowing her head to the ground. "My king."
"Stand up, Amara," the king said gently. She stood. She looked into his eyes and saw the kindness of the friend she had made on the road. "You have something of mine," the king smiled. Amara opened her hand and showed the grey stone. "Do you know what that stone is?" the king asked. "It is just a river stone, my king." "Crack it open," the king commanded. He handed her a small silver hammer. Amara tapped the stone. The grey clay shell crumbled away. Inside lay a diamond as big as a bird's egg, glittering with a fire that outshone the sun. The crowd gasped. The outside was rough, King Kawelo told the crowd, just like the beggar, but inside was a treasure, just like you, Amara. He stepped down from the platform. He took Amara's rough, scarred hands in his own. "When I was hungry, you fed me your own lunch. When I was thirsty, you gave me your water. When the world called me trash, you called me papa. You saw a human being where others saw nothing." He turned to the crowd. "I do not need a queen who is beautiful in face but rotten in heart. I need a queen who has the strength to be kind when no one is watching. I have found her." He looked back at Amara. "Amara of Umunne, will you accept this throne? Will you help me heal this world?" Tears streamed down Amara's face. "I am just a village girl, my king. I have nothing." "You have everything," he corrected. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes."
The wedding of King Kalo and Queen Amara lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. The sky of Zama was lit with fireworks that looked like falling stars. Amara wore robes woven from sunlight and shoes made of glass. But, true to her word, she did not forget her past. She established the House of Grace, a massive home for orphans and widows within the Golden City. She made laws that protected the poor. She became known as the Mother of the Forgotten. But what of Uloaku and her daughters? They were sent back to Umunne in shame. Their reputation was destroyed. No man wanted to marry the girls who insulted a king. The merchants refused to sell to Uloaku. They became poor. One day, years later, an elegant carriage rode through Umunne. It stopped by a dilapidated hut where 3 women in rags were struggling to roast corn. The curtain of the carriage parted. It was Queen Amara. Uloaku looked up, her eyes wide with fear and shame. She expected the queen to order their execution. Instead, Amara signaled a guard. The guard placed a large bag of rice and a bag of gold coins at their feet. "Why?" Uloaku wept, falling to her knees. "After everything we did to you, why?" Amara looked at them with sad, wise eyes. "Because," Amara said softly, "I am not you." The carriage rode away, leaving the wicked aunt with the bitter taste of undeserved mercy, a punishment far greater than any beating.
And so, the flower that bloomed in the dust became the jewel of the empire. This story teaches us a lesson as old as the earth itself. Do not judge a book by its cover. Do not judge a man by his rags, for the hand you crush today may be the hand you need to lift you up tomorrow. Kindness is not a weakness. It is a seed, And when you plant it, even in the driest desert, it will one day grow into a forest of blessings. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in the power of kindness, please like this video. Share it with your friends and family. You never know who needs to hear this message today. And do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We have many more tales from the Hidden Empire waiting for you. Until next time, may your heart be your greatest treasure.